Hi, I'm JT with Shooting Resources. Today we're going to be talking about the Spot. And Shooting Resources has a long history with the Spot company. We were one of the first people to get them and test them out and to put the review online. And Spot has always been an impressive product for us, and one of the things about them is they're always constantly improving, and they're actually improving not only the software but the hardware as well. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. As you can see, what I'm holding in my hand is a second generation Spot. There's some differences between the first and second generation that I'll get to in a second. First generation has about the same price points as the second. The features are all the same. There is one new feature that has been added to it, which is really cool. This second generation comes with the classic tether that was on the first generation. It's got multiple points to it, so it's very good. Second generation though also comes with a carrying case and an armband. It's got a carrying case with reflective straps on it. It's got the armband. It's actually got Velcro points on the back and a little carabiner, so there's multiple ways to have it, mount it, wear it, you know, whatever you need to do to carry it. So that was a very good thing. It was one of our recommendations on the first generation. Now, the differences between the first and second generation, this is the first generation here. You'll notice, first of all, when you look at them side by side, the second generation is much smaller than the first generation. The second generation is not as thick, it's not as long, and you'll notice on the back that the battery compartment is about the same size, but there's no clip on the back of this one. One of the things that we found is people were constantly breaking that clip, which I think is why they added the armband, which in my opinion is a lot better. There's also one point to mount the strap on the first generation. There's 2 points to mount it on the second, so that gives you a little more option there as well. When you flip them back around, one of the things that you'll notice on the first generation is you have 4 buttons with 4 lights. On the second generation, you actually have 6 buttons, and all 6 buttons are lit up, and I'll go through what each of those buttons does in just a second. You also have indicator lights on the second generation that shows that your GPS signal is tracking and being sent, and also that an OK signal or another type of signal is being sent. So it's a very good thing. But you'll see, and the difference between them is actually quite impressive. It's lighter, it's just as tough, and it's just as proof to all of the elements, including water, as the first generation. One of the things that we'll show you in the second generation, you see on the first generation, your SOS or your 911 feature, as it was called on the first gen, doesn't have a protective cover on it, which became a problem. Some people were hitting it and didn't mean to, and that caused some issues. So let me get rid of the first generation here. On this second generation, let's go over the buttons one by one. Obviously you have the power button. You press it, it lights up. I don't know if you can see it blinking, but it is. You have your OK button, which is still the same function as the first generation. On this side you have a tracking button now. If you remember, on the first generation, the OK button also functioned as a tracking button. The problem is it was less than user-friendly, and you could never figure out if it was turned on or turned off, and it was just kind of a pain. So Spot added a button specifically for that, and it operates on the same principle as all the rest of them. You press it, hold it for a second, and when it's working, it lights up. Underneath that, you have what looks like a little comic book bubble with words in it. That is a customized message that you can make, and you can actually send out to whoever you want, kind of like the rest of them, and you can send a customized message from a location to a specific person. It was kind of one of those things that seemed less than impressive at first, but it's actually an extremely good feature to have on this, and it's become quite convenient. On this side, you notice that now the help button, the I'm in trouble but don't send the entire cavalry after me button, now has a cover and then the buttons underneath, and it works on the same principle. You press it and you can send a signal to friends, family members, other people you might know, and say, you know, I'm okay, but I need you to come get me. And so that's a good thing. Same thing with the SOS button. It's got a bright red cover on it. Underneath it, the button itself actually has a red dot. Same principle, you press it, it sends a signal to the satellite. The satellite bounces it to a geo center in Texas, and they send everybody that they possibly can after to come get you. So the fact that these have protectors on them now, you don't have to worry about them. You can throw it, you can bang it around, stuff can sit on it, and you don't ever have to worry about, man, I need to check my device and see if I've actually accidentally, you know, sending a rescue crew after me. With the new generation of Spot also comes improvements in the battery life. On standby mode, I think the batteries last between 6 months to a year. In tracking mode, it will track you straight for 2 weeks. Also, SOS is 7 days because it's constantly sending out a signal every few minutes to update the rescue center on your position. One of the things that you'll notice about this is the fact that on the back of the battery plate there's a metal sticker, and in case you forget what buttons function what and how to do it, there's some instructions and there's a listing. And while we're back here on the battery plate, notice the battery compartment, as I said, was the same size. You use the same power source as you did in the first generation. It's 3 lithium AA batteries, and they have to be lithium. That's what this system was designed for, and that's also what they get the best performance out of. One of the things as well about Spot is that you can now customize your messages a lot easier than you used to be able to. They've kind of made the software a little more user-friendly. They've combined forces with several map programs, including Google Earth. They've also got pages set up now where you can track somebody else, or you can have somebody else track you, or you can track yourself for 7 days at a time, and it's all laid out in a map. And the only bad thing about that, though, is once that 7 days is expired, there's no way to go back and really retrieve it. So if I want to look at a trip I did a month ago, I better save it because Spot won't save it on their server. So it's kind of a minor inconvenience, but for everything else, it's a small price to pay. One of the things about Spot, the second generation, even though it's smaller, it's still as tough. It's still as element proof as the first generation, and it's got the same price points. Depending on where you buy it from, it's still $150 to about $200, and of course that comes with the yearly subscription fee, and depending on what features you get on it, including the rescue insurance, it can be anywhere between about $30 to about $60. Personally, I have all the features activated on it, including the rescue insurance, which is a $100,000 rescue insurance policy insured by Lloyd's of London, and you know, it runs me about $55 a year. But you have to ask yourself, what's it worth for you to get home? You know, if you're in any part of the world, what is it worth? And for me, you know, it's a small price to pay. One of the cool things about this too is Spot still has 97% coverage of the globe. So there's a few areas where it won't work down around Antarctica, but for the most part it works everywhere. And we're just as impressed with this generation as we were the first, and we look for good things from them in the future.